So I found this sermon that I may or may not want to start covering. But before he gets to any resemblance of any sort of argument, he says this.
So the theist says, yeah, God exists. We believe in God. Not everyone believes in God, though. In fact, a Pew Research Center survey found that 3.1% of Americans, and again, this would translate for Canadians as well, profess to be atheists. That number goes up to 7% when you throw in the agnostics. An atheist says they believe there is no God. An agnostic says, I don't know if there's a God, okay? Or maybe you can't know that there's a God. You should have some good reasons to back up what you believe. So if you're an atheist here, you should have some good reasons to back up that belief that there is no God.
And I disagree with this definition of atheism. An atheist is somebody who is simply not a theist. It is not somebody who believes that there is no God, but instead it is somebody who does not believe that there is. And there's a key difference there. See, if you can describe atheism as a lack of a belief, then you can be both an atheist and an agnostic, like I am. I understand that I do not know whether or not there is a deistic God, but I still don't believe in him, and in that I'm an agnostic atheist. But I'd like to read from a public debate entitled Theism or Atheism, Which is More Reasonable? It was held between W.T. Lee and George Foote. And I'm not reading this because I think it has any sort of authority or anything, but because this was held in 1895, more than 120 years ago. So in this debate, Mr. Foote says this, and I quote, "But atheism per se simply means not denial, but rejection in the sense of not accepting the theistic theory of the universe which Mr. Lee has put forward tonight." And a little bit further down he says, "And how can I accept the meaning of important terms on the authority of these conflicting lexicographers? If I want to know what is Christianity, I am bound to find out what Christians mean by the term. If I want to know what Buddhism is, I am bound to have the term explained by Buddhists. And if Mr. Lee wants to know what atheism is, for the purpose of discussion, he must discover what atheists themselves mean by that term." Now, I read from that because I heard somewhere else, I'm not sure where, but I've heard somebody say that people are trying to change the definition of atheism. It used to mean believing that there is no God, but they're trying to make it mean not believing there is a God. But that was said more than 120 years ago, and I'm sure it was argued way before that. Now, the statistic that they cited for the amount of atheists were from people who profess to be atheist, from people who self-identify as atheists. And as we can see, atheists don't take the term to mean believing there is no God, but instead not believing there is a God. And that's something that we need to understand.